Rob G, if you can step in, Deion Sanders got some stuff going on at the University of Colorado. Share with us, just summarize quickly so VeeJay and I can get on this.
Sure. So it started on Friday when the Denver Post announced publicly that the University of Colorado and Deion Sanders had formally sent them a statement saying that Sean Keeler, who they believe has been disrespectful with his coverage over the last year or so of the Colorado program and Deion specifically, has been banned from asking questions at any upcoming media availability. They said that the attacks were personal, that it was obviously something that was not above board. Some of the comments that they brought up were that he called Deion a false prophet. They called him Deposition Deion, called him the Bruce Lee of BS. The list goes on and on. So obviously this was a big story over the weekend. Yesterday, Deion Sanders addressed the situation when another reporter asked, well, hey, if this is what's going on with you and the Denver Post, are you even going to answer a negative question if I ask you a negative question? Take a listen.
I'm not negative to anybody in here. I will challenge you and ask you why or where is this coming from. So I'm not built like that. I'm not built to hate. I'm not a hateful guy. I come with love. I think if anybody in here has had encounters with me, I don't come with the bull junk. I come with the peace and the joy. Now, when you show me where you stand, I might have to change that a little bit, so I'm not going to match your ignorance.
VeeJay, this is Bush League on the part of Colorado. I'm sorry. I read the article where he called Deion a false prophet and some of the names that Rob G said. And if he had been referring to Deion's faith, which he's very outspoken about his Christian faith, and, you know, questioning his sincerity as a man of God and all that, then I would have been like, okay, he made it personal and you shouldn't, you know, get into a guy's religion that's got nothing to do with the football and all that. But the context in which he wrote that false prophet, he was referring to like Deion making all the promises about we're going to challenge for the football playoff next year. You know, after they won their 4 games this year. And he's saying that, you know, that's not going to happen. And that's how he's using it. He's writing all those titles, the Bruce Lee of what, BS? Is that what he said? But that's just writing. All right. And I get it. If Deion, it is certainly Deion's right to not want to deal with this reporter anymore. But what Colorado should have done is just, when that reporter's in the room, the press conference or whatever, if he asks a question, Deion could just say no comment. Answer the other reporter's questions all you want. When he asks it, no comment. You can't, I don't know how they think they can stop this reporter from asking questions. Now, Deion doesn't have to answer them, but this guy can ask him. I mean, the bottom line is he don't need Deion to answer his questions. Now, let's get to that, too. He's a columnist. He can write whatever he wants, and he doesn't need a quote from Deion Sanders. He can, so it's not really going to hurt him, to be honest. In fact, it's helped him, and I don't think that's what they want to do, but it's just made the guy more popular. It's made his articles more popular. Myself and everybody else went to see, well, let me read this thing. Let me read. Who is this guy? What's he talking about? So you really just helped him. I've been in situations. I had an issue when I was covering the Nets with Stephon Marbury. He didn't like something I wrote. And I was the beat writer for the team, seeing him every day. Whenever I would ask him a question in this, you know, after a game, at practice, whatever, he would never answer it. But I was still there, and I was able to get all the quotes he gave on to the other questions he was asked. And so it really didn't help me. And then, you know, eventually we squared things up and everything was fine. And he started answering my questions again. But that's how you just say no comment. I don't even know how they think they can stop this guy from asking questions. So I just think they're going about it the wrong way. It makes them look bad. It makes them look like they don't know how to deal with publicity and with, you know, raising yourself up to the next level. And so I just think it's a bad look. Again, Deion's firmly within his rights to be like, man, I don't like the way things this dude writes. I'm not going to answer his questions, but you don't have to make an announcement. Just say no comment. I'm not answering your questions, whatever.
Before I give you my answer, I propose a question to you because I know you are a long-time beat writer, sports writer, journalist guy.
Yeah.
When you call it Bush League, is that from that side of you or is that from the radio and TV Chris Broussard side? And the reason why I asked that question is because, he could just say no question. You're absolutely right. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a sports or beat writer. I respect the business. I respect the industry. I respect the guys that do it right. I had a chance to cover some LA teams out here last season, the Clippers, the Kings, the Dodgers, go cover, sit in the rooms and get that feeling and get questions asked the guys and get that feeling, that energy in the room. One thing I did pick up, though, Chris, is that there are certain beat writers and there are certain columnists that have a certain type of entitlement energy with them. That's something I picked up sitting in those rooms, in those post games, and even pregame pressers.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know. Well, let me answer your question first. I don't want to stop you from your thought, but it's really both. It's the like as a journalist. That's one of the key things in this country. We have journalism so we can ask questions, so journalists can, ideally write the truth. Because a lot of times, whether it's sports or politics or whatever, they're not going to, the entities involved aren't going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you their truth. But journalism is supposed to get to the truth.
The truth.
Right? And so I'm just saying with this Bush League, like I said, I'm saying it's Bush League because it makes you look like you don't know how to deal with, publicity. This is a part of publicity. And criticism is a part of being on the big stage, whether it's a radio show like this or a TV show or an athlete or a politician. When you are in the public eye and your job is in the public realm, you're going to be open to criticism.
Yeah, of course. We all face it in this business. So
that's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. The reason why I asked that question is because college programs, especially football, a lot of these big time schools are in these small, dormant type towns where these college coaches have a lot of power. This isn't the pros. This isn't the NBA. This isn't the NFL. They can pretty much control everything that goes on around them. Now, if he feels like that this guy has wrote some disrespectful stuff, I can't be the guy to tell Coach Prime how to take that and how to feel. And then once again, I also go to the word energy. What type of energy are you bringing? You may you just mentioned about you and Starberry, right? You didn't bring bad energy. You just wrote something that he didn't like. But I'm pretty sure I've known you for years.
You are right, and let's keep it up because we're going to have to go to break quickly. Okay. But you are right that a lot of people in the media have a sense of entitlement and arrogance. And but you know what? People in every industry are like that. Heck, a lot of these coaches and players got the same sense of entitlement.
Very, very true.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just the human condition, regardless of that. And and now this dude, when you read the story that I think they're referring to, I mean, he wrote, it was well written. Like all those titles, I mean, it was captivating the way he wrote it. That's all that was. And, like I said, it's Deion's right if he doesn't want to, deal with that guy. But I don't think you need to make an announcement, and you should just don't answer his questions. All right, VeeJay, I want you to get out all your thoughts about Deion. So the Colorado the University of Colorado has issued a statement that they will not take questions from one reporter in Chicago, a columnist for the Denver Post, because they felt like, I guess he was being disrespectful to Deion. But go ahead and finish your thoughts.
Yeah, and I was going with, the way I started was asking what side you were coming from with Bush League, and I get it, because like I said, you are a long-time sports reporter, journalist in that field, but I've been able to kind of shift over to that part of the business and fulfill that role a little bit and get a feel for the room. And like you say, you admit a lot of these guys, there's kind of like a word that I want to throw in. It's like a smug entitlement. And also too with Deion, I think the reason why this is happening with Deion right now is Chris, you and I are both old enough to remember Deion since he's been playing sports, and we're not talking the Atlanta Falcons. We're both probably talking Florida State, correct? So we've been watching Deion that long. Deion has been as captivating and as, hey, look at me, as we've ever seen in sports. But he's always backed it up. Even when he was a 37-year-old playing for the Ravens, still getting interceptions and pick six, doing the Deion dance and falling to his knees, holding his hands up to the Lord. That's all we know from Deion, right? So there is going to be, in my opinion, a certain contingency of the press and media who doesn't like his bravado. They don't like his arrogance. They don't like his confidence. They're waiting for Colorado to fail. They're waiting for Colorado to fail.
And so, when you carry that, and I like Deion, and I like
love him.
The way he handles himself and everything.
Yes.
But when you are like that, when you are, you give yourself nicknames, prime time and all that. When you're that type of dude, you invite that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are there are always going to be some people who when you fail and you don't deliver, they going to jump on you.
Wait.
And that's the thing. You said it. He always delivered as an athlete. He's always delivered as a coach until last year. Mm-hmm. And he delivered to a certain degree. But the expectations somewhat because of him got out of control and they weren't able to live up to those. But that's where this is coming from. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll finish it off with this. In sports, especially in college sports, because I pride myself on being one of the biggest college football fans there are out there in this business. I try not to act like that I don't know the college world as the college world is. And once again, I go back to the world of power. These college football coaches have a ton of power. And whether people agree as the way they're doing, saying the guy is not allowed or not allowed to ask questions or whatever, I totally understand it because this is college football. This isn't the first time that it's happened, I'm sure. It's the first time it's happened that it's making this type of headline because it's simply Coach Prime Deion Sanders.
Well, it might be because they made an announcement.
Yeah, well, it would get out anyway, though.
It may have happened, it might not get out. I mean, honestly, if they just wouldn't, if you're in the press conference every Saturday after their game or whatever, and this guy is in the press conference and he raises his hand, maybe they just don't bring the mic to him. Or something like that.
But if it's a guy that's got a name, Chris, and everybody knows who it is, sooner or later, someone's going to say, hey, what's going on?
Eventually,
what's going on? Right. Why aren't they asking Broussard any questions? Why aren't they giving Broussard? Okay, something must have happened. Right. And then we get nosy. And then we want to start to kind of dig and find. It would have come out. I don't have a big of problem with it as other people do, once again, because I just understand how college football coaches can wield their power. Now, is it to me, I will say this. I think it's a little below Deion to take this route. If he was the guy that made the call on it, it's like, all right, Prime, like you said,
and he probably was.
You invite a lot of this. I come up with nicknames too. I get stuff from people on the internet too. I don't care about it. That's part that exactly. That's part of it. But I do get it, Chris. I really do, because a lot of media sometimes, man, especially somebody that's looking for you to fail.
I can get not wanting to deal with people and somebody ripping you in their column, and then all in your face acting like we all good. Exactly. I get that. I totally get it. But I just think rather than making a big announcement, you just say, man, don't ask me nothing. I'm not talking to you.